Hi everyone, I'm Alex.
And I'm Ben.
And this is Married with Dragons.
Good to be back.
Yes, I feel like we need like a little like tune, you know, when people do an intro and then you get the little...
I'm sorry, are you saying that we need a theme song?
Yeah.
I don't think we're quite at the point where we need a theme
Maybe
song.
we need like a little like...
Excellent, right.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll get you to record it.
Maybe. I feel like it just suits really well with the We Are Married with Dragons.
Yes.
And then you have a little jingle.
Maybe you're playing a bard at the moment. You can come up with something.
I'll get a flute and just play a little like weird
Just
tune.
shit quality, terrible quality. That's great.
Yeah, tune on stream.
Have you got a bit to talk about tonight?
Yes. So, yeah, first of all,
We've got a bit of a story, just
yeah.
taking a bit of a bit of a story from the recent campaign, or one of the campaigns. I'm now running two campaigns, but one of the campaigns I'm running at the moment. I've just been thinking recently that you guys have been doing really well. And you've achieving what you want to achieve, but not. I don't think in the way. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I feel like you guys have tried. Or some of you have tried.
Unorthodox kind of.
Yeah, like I feel like at least some of you have tried to be stealthy. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Well, to be fair though, aren't I the only stealthy character?
Oh look,
we don't have many stealthy characters.
At the end of the day, not too many people. Anyway, it's fine. It just makes me think like I sort of assumed you guys would take a bit more of a stealthy undercover sort of option, and you guys have basically made yourselves as noticeable as you possibly can. Everyone knows who you guys are, like everyone, which is fantastic. Last session, you guys arrived at this sort of compound area, and again, like everyone sort of, I think, had agreed. We'll try and keep a low profile.
Yeah,
We're pretty outnumbered here.
Well, we'll kind of not really undercover, but
you didn't want to be attracting too much attention. Put it that way.
Maintain a low profile.
And of course, the first thing that the wizard does when they get to this compound is he casts magic on the head guy, leader, this half-orc that was leading this compound.
Brute of a thing.
Brute of a thing. And the wizard has done, he's got like a total of like 12 HP. Like, he might have more than that now. Anyway, the wizard's cast... charm person, I think it was. Anyway, he's cast some magic to try and influence this leader, and it's worked. It's gone really well. He's getting what he wants, but obviously this spell has a duration, and after an hour, it will end. The hour ends, and the wizard proceeds to get his ass absolutely handed to him in front of a crowd of like 30 people. Everyone standing around watching him getting his ass whooped. Everyone now this is what I like. They still succeeded. You guys got the information that you wanted. You guys achieved your goal, but just not in the way I expected you to go about doing it. Like.
True.
I mean, the best part about being a DM is when the players surprise you. Like, another example later on. And again, like, I'm not saying you guys are doing anything wrong. It's just funny to look back on. You guys are, again, trying to keep a low profile. The same day that the wizard gets his ass handed to him, there is a duel, a big fight ring that basically breaks out in the middle of the cafeteria, in the middle of the mess hall where you guys are all eating, and literally everyone in the entire compound is now watching one of the party members duel or fight to the death with another person, and again, like, you guys could not be making more ruckus. You guys could not be...
It was the perfect diversion though.
It was a good diversion. Diversion for a bit of sneaky stuff from your end.
Yes, so I took that fight to think, the perfect opportunity to get what I needed, which was a key to get access to a room that we needed to get into.
Did end up using anyway.
We ended up using anyway. But it was
still a great plan.
But yeah, I was like sitting there like thinking of like a movie. I'm gonna just like go through the crowd. I'm gonna get that key. Didn't work the first time.
When this scene was going on, when you were describing what your character was doing, I don't know if you've seen Mission Impossible, or I can't even remember which one it is.
One of the 11 Mission Impossible.
I don't know. I think there's 7 or something like that.
Yeah.
One of the early Mission Impossibles, where he's like at the horse track, at the horse races, and he's like walking through. I think again, I'm stretching the memory a bit. I think he like walks and bumps someone and grabs something like in a crowd. That's kind of like what I imagined your character would be doing, like just casually brushing past, grabbing the key off the belt.
Yeah, well, that's how I was envisioning it. I could just sneakily just go like, go up to them, pat them on the shoulder, like, oh, hey, boom, get the key,
But
and off I go.
Again, just going with the theme of, this session not being sneaky at all. Originally, on your first attempt, he noticed you.
Yes.
And you quickly played it off.
But then luck was on my side. On the second attempt, that nat 20 got me through.
Yeah, you did very well.
Yeah.
Did very well. And, the party members survived the battle to the death in the middle of the mess hall. So, all things considered, a few broken bones, a few people being beat senseless. But, an all-around successful day for the party.
I also love with this story that once you talk about the wizard, you summon the wizard in the chat.
I'm feeling a wizardly presence.
Yes.
But yeah, it's I love thinking, like, 'cause whenever I try to plan stuff, I sort of think like, I can maybe see the party doing this, or maybe they'll do this. Like, I might have a few things in my head, but I swear to God, more often than not, you guys will just like totally curveball, do something that I never anticipated, or just something super wacky.
Yeah.
Like, okay, I guess that works too. It's great. It's my favourite part, being caught off guard.
But it's fun. It's fun stumbling our way through life.
It is. It's great for me as well. Best part about the DM is having new stuff pop up. So it's always nice when you guys do things that I'm sort of like, okay, all right,
We're doing this.
You want to draw as much attention to you as possible? Sure. What could go wrong?
We're just a party of attention seekers.
You are definitely all a party of attention. But like I said, you guys are succeeding in all of your endeavours so far. So kudos to the party. Credit where credit's deserved.
But with saying that though, we'll move on to some D&D news. So
exciting news.
Yes, we were going to cover this one last week, since it was the week after the D&D Live. So D&D Live was now 2 weeks ago. And
been so long since we've been on.
Yeah, I know.
Well, it's been 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Feels so long.
But a source book was announced, which was super exciting. Another book, because it wasn't that long ago that the book that I can't get my tongue to say correctly, that's something, The Witches of Phalite. That was announced. So we're getting spoiled. What's this?
Well, Wizards of the Coast did say that, I think it was at the start of this year, they said that they're planning on releasing like more books this year than previously. So they've certainly lived up to that promise or that idea. We are. It's fantastic. Yeah. It's fantastic. I mean, I could be wrong, but I feel like we haven't had this many books, whether it be source, whether it be mini module stuff. Like, we haven't had this much information, this much content released from Wizards of the Coast for a while. So it's really, really quite exciting. Yeah.
So the book that was announced was Fizban's already messed up. Fizban's Treasury of Dragons.
Wizards of the Coast, if you are listening, please, for Alex's sake, just make them easier names in the future.
Just name it Dungeons and Dragons, the topic of dragons. There's something real simple.
Doesn't sound as exciting.
I know.
Doesn't have that book.
But so Fizban's Treasury of Dragons was announced, so that's the new source book that is getting released. Super
excited well. Very keen.
Yes, it's up for pre-order. If you want to get it. The alternative cover also looks gorgeous.
Chef's kiss. The alternate cover, I think I'm gonna have to get my hands on the old cover for sure. It's a bit more, I don't know, traditional sort of themed artwork on it, I guess. It's one way you could explain it, but I'm certainly very excited for it. As the name suggests, the Treasury of Dragons delves really deeply into the dragon history, the dragon lore, the dragon, the types of dragons they're going to be exploring. That previously, or up to this point in at least 5th edition, there's primarily been the chromatic and the metallic dragons out there, sort of good versus evil. This book's going to be introducing the gem dragons, which is really, really exciting. They're going to be introducing like a whole heap of they're introducing subclasses for monk and ranger, I believe, some dragon themed subclasses, as well as some background stuff you can use for dragonborns. I believe even potentially, word on the grapevine, they might be revisiting the dragonborn breath attack in the book as well. They're going to be going into a huge amount of information about, I think they mentioned like 20 different types of dragons that you can use for world building. I think it's really exciting for me personally, because dragons are sort of the epitome of, aside from the Beholder, anyone new to D&D who doesn't know, the Beholder's the big basically eyeball with lots of eyes. That's, I guess, one of the most iconic
yeah.
D&D. But the other one obviously being the dragon.
Yeah.
And
well, it's
because
in the title itself,
it
Dungeons
is.
and Dragons.
It is, and
so,
it's a very well-known...
yeah.
Like, you don't have to play tabletop games to know what a dragon is, but I suppose that the downside of it is because they're so strong and powerful and deadly, I've read and heard a lot of people have never encountered a dragon.
No, well, to be fair though, that's pretty spot on because I don't think in the campaigns I've played we've encountered a dragon.
It's because they are so deadly. They are so dangerous. They're very remote. They're not like going to be hanging out with a whole bunch of other... Like, they're going to be off on their own. So, and a lot of the time, people won't have necessarily run into them.
Yeah.
So... What I'm hoping to get out of it is some resources to be able to introduce dragons more. Like, if you're wanting to do a campaign that really heavily focuses on having dragons present, even potentially at lower levels, so you can, have fun with players in that sense, because a lot of D&D campaigns as well don't necessarily go to a very high level because, real life gets in the way, scheduling, whatnot. So I'm excited to hopefully be able to bring some stuff in to introduce dragons to lower levels so everyone gets to experience the terror of facing a dragon.
But yeah, I think the source book is also really great, especially with DMs, to even if you want to incorporate a bit of dragon kind of themes to a homebrew or to an existing campaign, it gives you the tools to do that as well.
Yeah, it's going to be really interesting. One other bit of sort of lore history I'm really keen on. I've read a lot about it and watched a lot of videos about it previously, but it'd be great to have some published stuff from the Wizards of the Coast, is some information about the creation of the world. So Tiamat and Bahamut, the sort of two dragon... There's a few different... I won't go too much into this. There's a few different theories about how they came about. There is one theory that originally they were one and they've split into two. There's lots of different stuff out there, or different bits of information from different books of different editions. But I'm really excited to read a little into that side of things as well, and sort of get a bit more history about those two iconic dragons. The god. They're basically gods, the good and the evil. One represents the metallic, one represents the chromatic. So that sort of stuff as well, I think, is going to be really interesting to come from this source book.
Yeah, no, definitely. I'm really keen. Like, I don't usually use source books unless I'm using them if there's a character in there that I need traits from. But I'm really excited just to even have a look at this source book because, like, dragons are just cool.
They are, and I reckon that, as a obviously source books are fantastic for DMs. As a player, some of the things that you get most out of is obviously when they release new race and stuff, but the subclasses as well, I find really exciting, really interesting. So I'm really keen to see these new subclasses that come out. Anything like Ranger is one of those classes where a lot of people love and hate. So it'd be interesting to see the new Ranger subclass, but also Monk. I'm imagining in my head sort of like, I don't know if you know much about Iron Fist from the Marvel universe. Iron Fist is basically a kung fu guy who has lots of kung fu abilities, but he's got the power of a dragon bestowed upon him, which is why his punches are magical, basically. Okay. So in my head, I could be way up. In my head, this book is sort of introducing a monk subclass where you can basically make Iron Fist. You can sort of already do that with other subclasses, but this one is specifically dragon themed. It's literally like it's coming from the comic.
Yeah.
So.
I'm really keen.
Yeah, I'm pretty excited.
Add to our collection.
Oh, absolutely. We've got so much more collecting to do as well.
Need all the alternative covers too.
Absolutely. Yeah. Got a big library.
Yeah, so that's super exciting. So, yeah, I'm excited.
Yeah.
I'm keen for it.
But onto the main topic for tonight, and something I'm pretty keen to have a bit of a chat with you about, actually. It's been a little while since we've done a class breakdown. Yeah. So we've done, what have we done previously? We've done Fighter, we've done Wizard.
Barbarian.
And Barbarian. So we've done a couple of classes so far. Yeah. But tonight we wanted to touch on...
the Bard. Which I'm very excited about because I'm currently playing as a Bard.
Yes, and that is something I actually wanted to ask you about. So I guess really quickly, for anyone who may not be very familiar with D&D, with the class and whatnot, Bard generally is sort of, I guess, summarised in often thought of as a support role, but is primarily a magic caster or magic user, I should say, primarily focused around charisma based, focused around having a way with words, with people, charismatic, and playing music and instruments. Generally music and instruments. It could be dance, it could be whatever you want it to be, but some sort of performing arts. Acting.
Yeah.
Could be anything.
Yeah.
Whatever kind of bard. Think of if anyone's seen The Witcher, think of that dude that wrote the banger of the song in the show. That song that everyone was like smashing out for like a good 6 months. Anyway.
Yeah, that's actually a perfect example of a bard.
Straight up bard. Writes songs to, support the tales of the adventurers. Anyway, one thing I wanted to sort of get into before we talk about the bard too much is previously you've played Fighter was your original?
No.
Before Barbarian?
No, Barbarian was my original.
Was it?
So,
you changed races.
Yeah,
That's right.
I originally was that Barbarian Tiefling for a few sessions, and then that canned that campaign.
And you've played a fighter in a different campaign.
And I played a fighter in a different campaign, and because I was so set on the Barbarian, I just did a different race.
So you've played a couple basically tanky melee characters. You played a few.
I've only played tanky melee characters.
Up until now, you've got a level 5 now, Bard.
Yeah.
So you've played Bard for a little while, but this is your first time playing a really different class and role type, I guess, to your classic, melee tanky sort of character. So how have you found it, I guess, compared to, because obviously you really like tanks.
Well, I think what I like most about the bard is probably because I'm learning, this is the first time I'm using spells. So I'm a bit of I chose with building my bard more down the spell casting track compared to weapons and fighting, because I think you can choose.
You can sort of do like the College of Swords, I think it's called. You can go down the track, but I mean primarily bards are a spellcasting class. Yeah, so
spellcasting has probably been my favourite thing about it. Learning that has been really fun. I wasn't sure if I was going to like it, but I'm actually loving.
Is it as daunting and confusing as you thought it would be? Because I think for most people, when they are first starting off playing as well, and they think like, it's hard enough getting a grasp on the game, let alone trying to learn all these spells. Is it as difficult as you thought it would be, or is it not so bad?
Not so bad, because I only have maybe 8 spells. 8 spells, including cantrips. So I think once you start using them, you get a kind of you get the what each spell does, and trying to. One's are support spells, one's are damage spells, one's are whatever spells, cantrips that can help with anything. So that's been really fun to try and learn and strategize with too, which has been probably my favorite thing about the bard, is like when we go into combat is just trying to think of strategy, what spell would be best used here, what should I save, and trying to learn not to use spells all at once. And all of that, I've found that when I'm in combat, I'm not using weapons as much. I really love using spells.
Yeah.
That's my favourite thing.
Yeah, and even you touched on and I think I've seen the development from you learning how spells work and whatnot, but the economy, making sure that you don't run out of spells, trying to plan how many spells that you've got for the day. I think it's something you've done really well so far, but it's interesting to hear though that you say it's really not that hard, because it can be a little daunting, I guess, picking spells sometimes, but you don't really have that many to learn. So even if you are a new player, I feel like it's relatively easy to pick up spell casting.
I think with the spells that are offered, there's quite a lot to choose from. But I think it kind of helps when you build your bard a certain way. You kind of know what spells would then fit your bard. So, for example, I probably wouldn't use a spell that would make my weapons stronger, just because I feel like I don't really use weapons that much anyway. So it's just kind of figuring out what would suit my character as well. Which
is a great way of making any class, really. If you've got a concept in mind and you work with that, that generally makes it a lot easier to pick any feats, whether it be spells, whether it be whatever it might be. I feel like it makes more sense to do it that way as well, which is it's good how you've been doing that. But
I think probably the only challenging thing with a bard has been is because bards are supposed to be quite charismatic and quite outgoing and confident, and me not being an outgoing and confident person, it's kind of because how I build my character is quite extroverted. So it's really hard to role play an extroverted character when you're very introverted.
See, but for me, you touched on something great there. For me, that's the best part about D&D, is that even if you're an introverted person, you can role play and pretend to be this extrovert. You can be whoever you want to be. And, there's definitely at our games at least no, I don't know, expectation on like a
Yeah.
level of role play or anything like that. So, you know, even with your extroverted compared to your personal introverted style, even if, you know, you've done a good job of previously just explaining how your character's going to be reacting in certain situations compared to rather, you know, physically role playing, I guess, which has been interesting. But I've noticed as well a few times, like we've told a funny story as well of, you know, getting used to getting out of that tank mentality. There was that time where you ran headfirst into combat with your bard.
Yeah. Trying to learn not to go head first, and it's been challenging because sometimes like I get that itch where I'm just like, I want to get in there, I want to, you know, kick some ass, but I'm just like, stay back or you'll die.
Don't forget the best part though. So you run in, like you got a bard, you're like level 2 or 3 or whatever, like a low level bard at this point.
I nearly died.
Charges headfirst into combat, but then the audacity for you to say afterwards, oh well, I didn't think that they would attack me. You charged headfirst into the enemies. What'd you think they would do? Buy a cup of tea?
Well, I would have thought with my previous character that could be unharmed because she was so tankish with an AC of 26 or whatever it was that I was like, yeah, no, they won't come after me. They'll be scared. It's fine.
Yeah, no, not so much. Not so much scared of your little bardy boy.
Yeah, so it's really, that's also an adjustment, is learning to give myself space with an enemy.
You don't have to.
I don't have to,
it's certainly safer if you
yeah.
do. As far as actually playing the game of D&D goes though, has it been like a really like fun, different experience playing this character compared to your normal would be like your tanky melee? Like has it changed the game for you?
Not necessarily as a character sense. I feel like overall with the different groups of people that we have, it's been a different experience altogether. So this has been probably a campaign where I'm slowly feel like I am coming out of my shell a bit more, and I feel like I can do more compared to other campaigns where I was very much sheltered.
I tell you what though, what better character to come out of your shell with than a bard? It's like in the name, the perfect out of your shell character. But
so I feel like I'm learning more D&D and it's more engaging this time around compared to last.
I suppose like, you know, having more to consider as well. Like obviously compared to your barbarian, you've obviously still got lots to consider, but you're not considering which spell would be best used in which situation. Whereas, you know, with someone like a bard and with someone who uses spells, obviously you've probably got a little bit more to weigh up in every situation.
With the bard, there's support, so I feel like I can help more compared to barbarian. Where barbarian I could help, I could take the hits, but if someone got hurt, I was just kind of like, well, that sucks for you.
How nice of you.
Yeah, I can't really do much about it.
Well, let's actually talk about the mechanics of the bard a little bit. We've spoken, I guess, about a bit of experience, and I personally think bard are one of the best classes in D&D. I love them. Yeah. Would you say better than barbarian, or is it like comparing apples to oranges?
Apples to oranges. Yeah. If you had to compare a fighter to a barbarian, I'd say barbarian long shot. So out of tanks, barbarian is the winner. Out of support, I've only played one support. Of course, but bard is good for there too.
yeah, for sure.
But apples and oranges right there.
So yeah, obviously the base of the bard is they're charismatic. They don't necessarily have to be extroverted, but they're charismatic. They're entertainers, or often entertainers of some sort, one or the other. You know, generally silver-tongued is how they're, I guess, portrayed, being able to, you know, have a way with words. One of the coolest things about the bard, though, and I don't even know, I'll have to double-check that you actually are applying this. One of the coolest things is the jack of all trades.
Yes, I am.
You are?
Yeah, so I have a weird system that doesn't make sense to anyone else. So with the jack of all trades, it pretty much means you get half proficiency on skills that aren't proficient.
Correct.
Yes.
So every class, every character is going to have proficiencies, but the bard gets to add half their proficiency bonus to all the skills they're not proficient in. So they're kind of like, hence the name jack of all trades, they're kind of just good at everything.
Yeah.
At everything.
So you can pretty much apply that to your stats automatically, but I choose not to. I choose to add it when I go to roll. So if my stealth is like 6 and I can add another 1 to that, I'll add it as I go.
Which is insane,
And
but
just- it
whatever
works for me
works.
because
Whatever works.
The one thing I don't want to do is write it down and then I try and add another half on top of that because I'll forget. So if I just don't put it down, then I don't have to forget. I'll just do it as I go.
Yeah.
Plus, I'm pretty much proficient in half my skills anyway, so I barely use it.
True. Like I said, they're such a great all-round character. It doesn't really matter what it is you're doing.
Yeah.
They're going to be handy in that situation, which is why they're one of the best, in my opinion, one of the best classes in D&D.
Yeah.
They're never useless.
And one of the other best traits of a bard is bardic inspiration.
The other key feature.
Yeah, which I think you get at level 2.
I think it is level 2. No, that's level 1.
Oh, level 1. Okay.
You get it straight up.
Yeah, so pretty much bardic inspiration is pretty much what it is. You give someone inspiration. So you start off with your charisma proficiency. So I think mine was a 4, so I'd have 4 bardic inspirations to give out. So pretty much you give out a D6, and someone can use it on their attack roll. You can use it on their damage as well.
It can be anything except for damage.
Oh, anything
so
except
it could
for
be for an
damage.
ability check, it could be for an attack roll, anything apart from the actual damage on an attack, which is what I mean by like support. Like that's awesome. Like when it starts out as a D6, but like at 5th level, I think yours is a D8 now.
And at 6th or 5th level, one of the best features is that you can replenish your bardic inspiration with a short rest instead of a long. So you could have, I have 4 bardic inspirations to give out. I could give them all out as soon as possible, and then we could have a short rest, and I get
them all back.
So you can use them quite frequently.
Keep replenishing.
Yeah,
I think that it's one of the coolest abilities as well, because it's something that, I mean, there are obviously classes that can impact your teammates and stuff as well, but Bard is one that primarily focuses around impacting your teammates, and it's something that you can do so often and has such a big impact, particularly if it is in combat or something as well, that it sort of makes Bard stand out a little bit. It's something that I feel like if you're, the players that you are playing with are really going to appreciate you're playing Bard. Because it's like, sweet, we get all this extra stuff all the time. It's awesome. Another one, and again, you get this at 2nd level, Song of Rest. Whenever you take a short rest. Oh.
Yeah, so with Song of Rest, every time you take a short rest, you can play a little melody, and I think it's a D4. I think you can give everyone a D4 extra of
D6.
HP. D6, my mistake.
And they go up.
Yeah. So pretty much you can have a short rest. Someone can use maybe just 1 hit die instead of a second one because I can add another D6, roll well. That's all they need. So it's just, it's giving everyone like that little extra HP, a little extra on attack rolls, saving checks, ability checks. You're pretty much there.
But it's like that, again, it's that all-rounder thing as well. So you can obviously heal out of combat. You can heal with healing spells in combat. You can also support with, like, as you said, your Bardic Inspiration, supporting people to hit creatures or do ability checks. So you're also helping people not just with their health, but also with their combat or their abilities. So you've got this really all-rounder sort of thing going on where there's so much you can impact at any one time. But on the other side of the coin is obviously there's a heap of support stuff you can do, but they can also deal a shit ton of damage. As well. Like, they get some really cool attack spells. Which I don't know if you've picked any too. I think you're building more of a support based one at the moment.
I think one of my favorite attack spells, which I don't use too often because it can affect the other party, is Thunderwave. So it's pretty much like an area of attack, and we used that in a really good combat a few sessions ago, where I think I wiped out about 6
heap of
enemies.
them. Kobolds, it was really cool. I imagine like this Thor moment where you're like...
Unfortunately, it did hit a couple of teammates. They didn't die, so it's fine. But having an area of attack like that is really good, just to take the pressure off if you're getting surrounded as well.
Yeah, and see, one thing, I don't think you've really had an opportunity to use that particular spell in this way, but especially being a bard and having a huge amount of health and whatnot, you can use that spell even without running into combat. If people get close to you, you can just use that spell to push them away.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's a good sort of self-defense. But, I mean, bards can also use like lightning bolt. Like they can learn some really high damage spells.
Dissonant Whisper is one of my favourites.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Very cool.
So that's pretty much I think it's psychic damage and the potential of having them move their whole entire speed away from
Yeah, so basically just flee from you.
Yeah.
I mean, we sort of, you definitely don't have to do this as rules as written, but one of my favourite bits about you playing the Bard as well is, as the DM, I always try to encourage you, because you've got like your Bardic Inspiration, which is when you inspire someone else, or you've got like your Vicious Mockery, where you insult the enemy and you deal psychic damage. I always try to get you to actually say what your character is doing, like especially with like your Bardic Inspiration, which you use a lot. All right, yeah, you use your Bardic Inspiration. What are you doing? What are you doing to inspire your town? You can't just stand there and be, I mean, you could if you really wanted to stand there and be like, what's up?
I think one of my Bardic Inspiration was literally like, go team, go.
Yeah. And that's fine. Yeah. It doesn't have to be anything extravagant. I just love, I guess it adds like a bit of like a comedic relief in those sort of situations as well sometimes. Having you guys come up, or like, having you come up with the insults as well. Like, I'm pretty sure at one point you just said like, you're ugly to an enemy.
Yeah.
And it dealt it's like psychic damage to them. Like, excellent.
Oh, I should have done like the cheerleader thing, UGL.
Do it next time.
I'm gonna bank that one.
Yeah, do it next time. Yeah, but yeah, Bard is definitely a colourful class. It's got and again, anything where you have a lot of choice around like how you play the class. It's got so much utility, so much utility. It's got support, it's got damage, it's got healing, it's got like out of combat skills up the wazoo. So many skills, so many proficiencies. It's a really
all-rounder.
And underrated.
Yeah.
I feel like not a lot of people, people in the D&D community, I guess, know how strong Bard can be, but I guess new people who haven't played much D&D or haven't played at all.
They might just see it as just an entertainer.
Yeah. They might kind of look at it as like the guy from Witcher. I can't even remember his name now, the Bard from Witcher. But like, seeing it as someone who doesn't actually impact combat and doesn't have any strength and it's sort of just like, the cheerleader. It's so much more than that.
Yeah.
And I mean, I'm certainly excited. I really hope you don't die, because I'm excited to see you level up with this character.
Yeah, I think I've learnt my lesson going head first into combat. So let's hope I don't die.
Fingers crossed. Like I said, I don't hold any. When I'm DMing, I don't hold any punches. I want you guys to win, but if you guys are going to win, you guys are going to do it off your own merit.
I've also rolled pretty well with our level ups and HP, so I'm a bit of a tanky bard.
Yeah,
I'm a beefy
so level 5. You can remember what your health is?
I think it's 36 or 38.
It's not bad.
Or I might reach 41 now.
I was playing a Blood Hunter in the campaign last. I was a player, and I'm pretty sure at level 7 or 8, I had 30 HP.
Yeah.
I rolled so bad for their health, so bad. So I'm pretty sure you're already just about to catch like that. Yeah. Like you're doing pretty well, and that was a melee character. Like that was someone that needs to be in it. But
you were shocking.
Yeah, it made for a good story though.
It did.
Made for great times.
Yes.
Oh dear. Anyway,
I think it's time for your little hee-haw.
Yeah. Like I said, generally when we go into the character creation, we don't like to go into really in-depth into the nitty-gritty because I feel like it overwhelms people with a lot of information sometimes, particularly the newer players if they haven't played those classes. But I think that's a pretty good overview of, if you're not too sure what a bard is, if you might enjoy it, definitely give it a go. It's something that is so versatile and can be so wacky. But still certainly very useful. Yeah,
definitely.
And as I like to do with everyone's favourite part of the show, the joke at the end. Fantastic joke.
Cringe joke.
It's a fantastic joke. It's not cringe. You laugh.
No, I laughed out at it, so...
Well, you will. You will. Actually, if I'm being totally honest, for this one, you'll probably just shake your head.
Okay.
It's bad, but it's great at the same time.
I shake my head at all of them.
And I've tried to keep it themed, like obviously talking about the bard. I've got a bard joke for you. So, are you ready?
I'm ready.
All right. There was a bard who managed to make his way into the army. Do you know what rank this bard was in the army? He was a lieutenant. Lieutenant? Oh, come on, that's good! A lieutenant! The bard was a lieutenant. That was their rank.
I thought you said lieutenant, and I'm like...
Well, that's how you say it.
No, but like loo, like going to the loo. Lieutenant.
Lieutenant.
Oh, my.
See, I told you you'd shake your head at that one. I thought it was good. The lieutenant bard.
Oh, if anything, you undersold that.
Thank you, I appreciate it. Like I said, really the pinnacle of the show is definitely my jokes that make you just question your marriage to me.
Well, Bad Rants has it, shakes head and groans. That's me, like, daily.
That's your life, I think, with me.
When we first started dating, I would laugh, and now
Out of politeness.
Out of politeness. Now I'm just like, please stop.
I will never stop. I promise you that. I will never stop with my terrible dad jokes.
Yeah. But yeah, thank you everyone for watching.
Yes, we appreciate hanging out with you all. It's always good fun.
Yeah, and we'll be back next time. And
same time, same place, next week. What is it? Thursday, 8 o'clock? I should really be able to remember what time we're on. You'd think that's pretty important information for me to know.
Yes. But yeah, thank you everyone for watching, and yeah, we'll see you next time.
See you next time, guys.
Howdy, guys. Bye.
Wow, I hope you enjoyed that show. And if you want to make sure that you stay up to date with everything that Game On Oz has to offer here on YouTube, make sure you click the subscribe button. That's the best way